Or Bones, like Crucio also is like one that like, you know, you have to like really mean like to kill somebody with it.
I love the passion. Your face is lighting up as we talk about this.
I like the ones I know. Like
this is so going on YouTube.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Booth. I am beyond ecstatic to have USA Today best-selling author, Mr. Russell Nohelty with me. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good. You know, it's been a kind of bumpy transition from shows to like where we stand now, but I think I'm adjusting to the new normal. Okay, or at least my body is like finally understands that shows are not going to be happening. Maybe it's just because I ran 3 shows in the past 2 months that I kind of feel satiated for the moment. But I'm ready to get back and do some writing actually, because I've been busier than I've ever been before. I feel like.
Yeah, that seems like a common trend. I've talked to about 4 or 5 creators so far this week, and they've all been kind of surprised of how busy they are right now. And I guess they're working out, well, you know, I have all this time to be at home, and boom, I'm just so swamped with so many things. Is that kind of a feeling you're feeling, or?
So I actually think it goes back to conventions, because while conventions are tiring, they are so many things in one. So you get your networking done, you get your sales done, you get your meetings done. You meet you meet new fans, you build your mailing list, like you do all of this stuff in like one place.
Were you running the All Free Comic Book Day?
Yes.
Was that your creation, your brainchild?
It was me and Neo, or me and my friend Neo Edmond co-founded it and then ran it together.
Got it. And what was the biggest, I guess, success that you could say of having something like that?
I mean, just like the entire industry kind of turns to you. We were able to like interview Marv Wolfman and Jimmy Palmiotti and Kevin Eastman and just like all of these great creators. And you're seen with them and you get to talk with them and like network with them. And there was a Facebook group with a bunch of other creators, and we were able to build it up to over like 1,100 people in like a week with no like marketing spend. So it was just like a great way to turn the attention to you while you're also like getting to network and talk to and hang out with like a bunch of your friends who you don't see nearly often enough anymore.
Well, one of the first books I got from you was at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was Ichabod Jones, Monster Hunter. So is this, looking back now, since you've had a couple years, is this a Russell book? Is this the epitome of a Russell book?
Yes, I think it is the epitome of, if you like that book, you will like all of my books. So that has always been the driver of a perfect fan of mine. Mm-hmm. The thing that this book, so it has monsters, it has mythology, it has redemption, it has hope. It's very fast paced, but it's also quite funny and weird. And I think all of those, like, if you look at that, you'd be like, oh, of course, that's like a somewhere between psychological horror and dark fantasy, which is kind of like the genre that I write in. So with mythological, like the one thing that I think I have added since Ichabod is and it's in the new Ichabod, the issue 5 and beyond, is this idea of like hope in the hopelessness. Like there's a very strong thread in all of my books that is like, it's even when it's hopeless, there's a little bit of light there, which I think is why people can stomach the fact that my books are like very, very bleak and most of the time. But the other thing that Ichabod has that I didn't even know was a theme in my books is this idea of railing against your destiny. That's a really important theme in everything. So Ichabod's destiny was to be like a psychopath or a mental patient, like to do this thing and to be like the bad guy, right? And so he is both embracing and railing against his destiny throughout this book. And I think that's kind of what makes it resonate with people so much, is this idea of a person who just wants to do good, but everyone thinks that he is bad. And like, can someone who is objectively evil in the eyes of society be redeemed or find a way to redemption?
Well, you mentioned that that Cthulhu, the second one, the Terrible Twos, that you just finished with Kickstarter in March, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're planning another Kickstarter, right?
I am. So here's the thing. So this is like an exclusive. This is a Terry exclusive. These 4 books. There's a sampler pack on BookFunnel, which I'm sure Terry can put in the notes. I give him the link. About so you can read the first 3 chapters of all 4 books and see if it's your speed. So Worst Thing in the Universe, I wrote years ago. But if you want to see like how I feel about religion, power, and karma, most people who read it say it's one of their favorite books they've ever read. I've never released it wide. This is the first time that I'm bringing it to sale, and that's because I probably won't be doing conventions again until 2022. So I wanted people to be able to get it. This was my father's favorite book of mine before he died. He never read the other 3, but so I've been kind of like cradling it. The basic idea is, imagine karma is a computer program, and every trillion or so people, this person's this person's karma gets coded as this person's karma. This person dies, and suddenly all of this person's karma smacks back at him at once. And that person happened to be the worst person alive, the richest person alive. And so all of his karma gets basically he goes through 30 years of shitty karma in like a day, loses everything. It's set in the distant future. It's narrated by God as he pontificates about that and the universe and like our place in it. It is super weird, and it kind of was a foundational book in what the kind of stuff I wanted to write was. It goes way further than any Codsverse book or any other book I've ever written, as far as like the places that it plumbs. But like, if you want to like read the foundational book of my career, probably is that one. I've been holding it onto it for several years because I'm so nervous about releasing it in the world, because it is fudged up. It's sort of like Katrina. It's like I took that and I pulled it all back like 100-fold to put to put it in like Katrina. So you know how blasphemous and like crazy Katrina is? Like, this takes it to like a much more extreme. Nice. And the other 3 books were written during the time I was writing the Godsverse to teach me different stuff. So Invasion is a like fun sci-fi novel about a boy who meets a girl in Vegas, finds that she's an alien, and there's a big alien invasion coming. It is the closest I will probably ever come to a big summer blockbuster book. It is very light and fun and like very like Douglas Adamsy in its sort of like construction of the narrator. It taught me how to write romance. A lot of my Godsverse books do not have romance in them, or I don't think there's any romance in most of the Godsverse books. Very minimal. And so I'm writing another secret series now, and I wanted it to hinge on romance. So that one really taught me like how to add a lot of romance into a book without like losing anything. The marked ones. The secret project that I'm working on now is YA fantasy, and as you know from reading most of my other work, it is not fantasy, and then it is not YA appropriate. So I wanted to write something that was sort of YA, but still very fast paced. So the marked ones is an alternate reality fantasy. It is set in the present, but in its history, it posits what would have happened if the Axis powers were all run by huge magic users. So Mussolini, Hitler, Franco, all like big magic users. And when they are stopped, the humanity basically fears magic users will rise up again, and so subjugates them. And so the worst thing you could ever do is be a magic user. And in this world, Rosie, who's the main character, has had her powers suppressed for years. They come out. She finds out that she is a magic user. She is one of the most powerful magic users on the planet, and everyone starts hunting her. And she has to make it to the magical city of Toledo, which is the last bastion for magic users in the world. And she is. I went to Spain on a research trip for this book, and Spain is steeped over this whole thing. It starts taking place in Madrid, and it's like a wonderful, long, beautiful like book that like is kind of like what if in Harry Potter, instead of magic users being hidden, they are instead subjugated. And then The Void Calls Us Home is probably the closest book to my heart that I've released since as far as personal goes, since Sorry for Existing. So The Void Calls Us Home is a meditation on depression. And depression in this book is personified by a big Lovecraftian monster called the Void, which calls out to people and tells them to kill themselves, basically, so that they can be together again. There's a thing called Call of the Void, which is that when you're driving across a bridge, you just get the sudden urge to jerk your hand on the wheel. I don't know if you get that. I get it. It's in 25% of people.
Yeah.
And it sort of was the basis for this like meditation on grief and loss and death, which is sort of my favorite kind of book. It was a very difficult book to write. It was my bonus book. So once I finished all of my 18 novels, including the Godsverse books, I did this like crazy thing where I wrote like 18 months, 18 novels that ended up being pared down to, I think, 6 collections, including the Invasion and marked ones. But The Void Calls Us Home is this like very personal meditation on death. The main character's sister committed suicide, and she sort of is racked by guilt by that. She then, at the beginning of the novel, also tries to commit suicide, and she's trying to figure out like why she did it, and like whether her sister was involved, and whether there was a family connection. And it's very much like a meditation on what it means to have depression, and what it means to, like, I don't know, sort of like the worst moments in my life. I kind of felt like there was this sort of out of body experience telling me like I didn't need to be there anymore. And so it kind of all evolved from that. And if you like my more personal work, like Sorry for Existing, or My Father Didn't Kill Himself, I think you'll enjoy this one because it is very much in that same vein.
A scale of 1 to 10, what would you say that your Harry Potter knowledge is?
A 9.
9. Okay, all right. We're gonna stick with 9. You were strong with the 9. So
yeah, I think it's a 9.
A 9. All right. So the segment is called Nerd Cred, and this one's going to be Harry Potter edition. You ready?
Sounds good.
So the premise of this is I'm gonna name off some spells that they use in the Harry Potter universe. Do your best to tell me what that spell does.
Sure.
All right, here we go. All right, question number 1. Softball. Expecto Patronum. What do I do?
So that will give you that will release your Patronus, but only if you if you think of the most joyous moment in your life.
Expecto Patronum!
Ooh, all right. So you're no virgin to this Harry Potter stuff. All right. Incendio.
Fire. It like will light a fire.
All right.
Incendio.
Sonorous.
Oh God, that one's from Fantastic Beasts, I think. I'm gonna say that has something to do with hearing.
Minister for Magic,
Sonorous. Magically magnifies one's voice.
Okay.
All
So
right.
this is like sonar.
Yeah. All right. Relatio.
Relatio. I think you're getting into the Fantastic Beasts one. I'm not as big on the Fantastic Beasts one now. What could that possibly be?
Try saying it as if you're casting it. Relatio.
Well, all I could think of is like make two things be happier together, like a relationship.
Like a relationship.
Well, come on then.
Oh.
All right. Hominum revelio.
I believe that like takes something that is in another language or in a secret language and reveals what the actual word is.
Hominum revelio. We're alone.
I'm gonna blame the way I pronounced that one. Oh, that's me. That's a foul tip on my end. All right. This one, even I knew this one, and I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan, but I've seen every movie at least 5 or 6 times. Again, kids, but Lumos.
Turn on a light at the end of your wand.
Lumos.
Word for word what it says. All right, I'm going to do a few more. Let's see. The caterwauling charm.
Now, like, I know Harry Potter, but I do not know Fantastic Beasts. So that's the Fantastic Beasts one. I don't have any idea.
As specifically as you can, tell me, what is the spell? Avada Kedavra.
It's the killing curse.
Okay.
So you have to say it with it, unlike it's almost the opposite of expecto patronum. Like you have to say it with like actual malice intent. Like you can't just it's one of the unforgivable curses, but you can't just like say it. You have to like really believe it in your bones.
Avada Kedavra.
You know, you have to like really mean like to kill somebody with it.
I love the passion. Your face is lighting up as we talk about this.
I like the ones I know. Like
one more time for anybody out there who, for whatever reason, doesn't know who you are, what you're about. Who are you, Russ?
So my name is Russell Nohelty. I'm a USA Today best-selling author and the publisher of Wannabe Press, the host of the Complete Creative podcast. If you're a creator, you can find me at thecompletecreative.com. That's where all of my work is in that respect. If you like monsters, mythology, horror, magic, then you will love my work over at russellnohelty.com/mail. If you sign up there, you will get the first issue of Ichabod Jones for free, the first issue of Katrina Hates the Dead for free, and a compilation of about 50 pages of Cthulhu is Hard to Spell for free, and a couple of other like really cool books. My book about how to make the best work of your life, and a prequel novel to Katrina Hates, and Demons Follow Behind Her, or Katrina Hates the Apocalypse, the first book in the And Death Follow Behind Her. So you can get all of that and see all of my other work at russellnohelty.com, and join my mailing list at russellnohelty.com/mail.
Very cool. All right. Thank you, Russell. Once again, thank you for joining the show. I enjoyed having you on, and stay wicked, my friend.
Awesome, man. You too.
This is so going on YouTube.
I feel like if you have feeling, you should be able to just say killing curse and it like will kill you. But that is not very like hot. It'd be like
tag your it.
be like killing curse. Like it's much better. So like Avada Kedavra.